Nigeria is a meat-loving country. We love our suya, we love our goat meat, we love our pepper soup, and so. So you would think going on a carnivore diet would be easy. In this video, I'm going to go through 20 challenges that did challenge me when I started on the carnivore diet. And this hopefully will benefit people in the Western world or even those in Nigeria. So let's look at the 20 reasons why Nigerians may struggle on a carnivore diet, despite it being meat heavy. Number 1, meat is always paired with carbs. If you are Nigerian, you know how we chop our food, which is how we eat our food. You pair your meat with a source of carbohydrate, and that could be your swallow, which is either pounded yam, amala, gari, eba, or rice, especially if you don't eat swallow. So having to eliminate all the carbs and just be eating meat was one big challenge. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're going on a carnivore diet, you may face that problem. Number 2 is stew and soup flavors. One thing that we Nigerians love is our soup and stew. We all know that. I don't think there's any Nigerian house that doesn't have a pot of stew in their house or soup. And we love our flavors, which means anytime we cook our protein, which is our meat, our fish, we derive pleasure from making it into either the egusi soup, the ogbono soup, the okra soup. We take our time and prepare it. So that's one thing you will miss, because going on a carnivore diet means you have to eliminate all the carbs and just eat the meat on its own with salt. And yes, some people still continue to add spices, but it's up to you how you want to proceed when you're going on a carnivore diet. You want to be strict, or you want to continue to have your spices, but you minimize it. So something to remember. Number 3 is overcooked preference. I know growing up, I remember that one of the ways we prepare our meat is to boil it first, and then we fry it and either grill it. I'm thinking now at the top of my head that the reason we did that is for not health reasons, for hygiene reasons, and to make sure we boil away any germs that may be in the meat. Remember, this is growing up as a child, and this is in Africa. Not that our meats were sold in supermarkets then. We get them from a general market. I don't think there were particular standards during that period. I'm sure the butchers did keep a standard. It's a hot country. So my point here is, I just thought about this idea that I think we boil our meats first before we do any preparation to kill the germs. I think that is why. I never really asked, but I think that's the reason why that was the case. So we're now used to boiling meat first before frying or grilling it, which equals to the meat being overcooked. Whereas in the Western world, you can get away with just medium rare way of preparation, which is you put your meat in an oven or in an air fryer and you prepare it to the stage where it's not overcooked, but medium rarely done, which is there'll be a little bit of blood still left in it. But then it's more tender and it has a lot of flavor. This is something we are not used to as Africans, for me anyway. And that could be a challenge, changing over, because you see, these carnivore communities, mostly the Western people, the Oyinbo people, who maybe started it, and they've started it with what they know, which is more of the steak type of things, medium rare type of cooking. And so that's my thoughts anyway. Number 4, shared eating culture. So if everyone is eating like the swallow, the eba, the rice, and all you are eating is meat, it will feel as if you onkwe, which is you are just eating the meat, which could seem a bit strange. But eventually, over time, hopefully you will get used to just eating meat on its own as a meal rather than pairing it with the carbs, which I mentioned at the beginning, which is something we're used to. It's a habit for us. It's normal for us. And this leads on to number 5, which is the social pressure, especially in our culture. Jollof rice is a party food. It's very common. It will feel rude if you're refusing to eat the jollof rice and all you eat is the meat that is on top of it, especially if you go party. And generally, they don't put enough meat anyway, especially if you're a meat eater. You want to eat meat until you're full. They might just put 1 or 2 pieces of meat on the rice or the jollof rice. We're very heavy in carbs, so you have a big plate of jollof rice and you might have 1 or 2 pieces of meat. The very protein that we need to feel good. Number 6 is cuts of prime cut. What I mean by this one is, in the carnivore community, it's more about the cuts, i.e. the steak, the ribeye, the short ribs. There's not much emphasis on other cuts of meat, the cuts that we are very accustomed to in our culture, which is the ẹran oríṣiríṣi, which is assorted meat, the shaki, the pomo, the cow foot, the oxtail. There's not much talk about it or the preparation for it. And not all these cuts taste equally nice. I think the steaks taste nice and have more flavor, hence the reason why they may be expensive. The other cuts that we use generally don't necessarily taste that nice or have much flavor, hence the reason why we maybe flavor it properly. We're very good at adding flavor and spices to our meat and make it taste much nicer. So that could be a challenge for you, finding that balance and understanding which cut you enjoy or which cuts do you think can sustain you, particularly on this diet. Number 7 is meat availability. Particularly if you're going to the butchers, particularly if it's the butchers that serve more Nigerian people or African people, they may not have much options of steak. I remember growing up in Nigeria and I never knew what steak was. I know it sounds crazy because we just buy the meat, the chicken, the fish, the goat's meat or so. I keep saying this, I don't think we paid particular attention to the cut of meat. I know the fatty cuts, if I'm right, are generally reserved for maybe special meals like suya, I think. I don't think there was any particular cut we went for during that period. And I think the cuts that we are left with, the shank, the roundabouts, the cuts that we eat, I don't think much emphasis is placed on it anyway, because we just flavorize our meat to make it taste nice. Number 8 is preservation issues. This is particularly for those who maybe live in Nigeria. If you're on a carnivore diet and electricity is an issue, that in itself can be a problem. Especially if NEPA, which is the people who supply electricity, constantly take power, which is there's no light anymore. That doesn't help, especially if you want to buy in bulk. Number 9 is not having the options to different cuts of meats. This is particularly for those who maybe live in Nigeria. I know we have big supermarkets now. I believe we have access to the steak and different types of steaks, but I'm assuming that will be quite expensive. I've always said to myself, whenever I do go back to Nigeria, maybe for a holiday or so, I would have studied, which I have anyway, the part of the cow that falls under the ribeye and asked them specifically to cut that for me. I know it's possible because in Nigeria, there's a lot of things you could do. You just need to know the right people and have your money. And you can literally ask them to cut that part of the cow out for you. I think it'll be cheaper. Number 10, eating out can be tough, mainly because they don't necessarily serve what you like to eat or what you're currently eating, which is maybe the steak or so. You will have to literally ask for specifics, i.e. I'm happy to have the meat and not the rice or the swallow with it. You may need to order 2 portions of meat only. You may have to still eat the stew, which the meat most likely is covered in, because we're very good at submerging our meat inside a sauce or stew. So you may have to eat that, especially if you go out. I know there will be options of grilled meat or fish, but we don't know what oil they may have used. So that could be a challenge in itself. But if you're eating out just occasionally, I don't think that's a problem. Your body would adapt while you're out. And when you go back to the carnivore, it would readjust. Number 11 is fear of cholesterol. This is something we've all been made to believe. So eating meat is equals to high cholesterol. I don't think this is just a Nigerian thing. I think it's some of us literally still believe it up to now. I urge you to look into cholesterols now, as in do your own research when it comes to the concerns around cholesterol. It's still a problem in terms of us believing that it's a worry. But in saying that, you must do your checks, do your blood checks maybe once or twice a year if you're worried about high cholesterol. Number 12 is misunderstanding fats. Usually when you go to the market, you ask them to trim off the fat. There's different types of fat. We have the saturated fat, we have the unsaturated fat. The fat on most beefs are okay and they're fresh, I believe, and it depends on how much you eat. I don't ask them to trim the fat from my meats anymore, because even if I do not intend to consume the fat, I can render the fat and use it to fry other things or prepare other dishes. And that's something to bear in mind. Not all fats are created equal and not all fats are bad. I think it's a matter of identifying which is which. Being on a carnivore diet, you most likely will be consuming more saturated fats, which is the better option. But you must check your cholesterol level if you're concerned about it. And you must do your own research too. Which leads me to number 13, which is the preference for lean protein. Like I mentioned earlier, when we do go to the butchers, we ask them to remove all the fat because we have been programmed to believe that fat is bad. Yeah. Number 14 is lack of trust of organ meats. While organ meats is quite common within our culture, like the roundabouts, the cow skin, the liver, the kidney, we literally eat almost everything within the cow, even the intestines. It's quite common. Not everybody enjoys eating organs of meats, whereas they can be seen as nutrient dense. Some of them are good, particularly liver is actually good, but not everyone can bear the taste of liver, which will mean they'll miss out on some nutrients that may be necessary for the body. With liver, I only try and have it maybe once a week anyway, not all the time because it's very rich. So you need to be mindful. Number 15 is age, metabolism concerns, as in we've already once again been programmed to feel or believe that eating meat will make you fat. I know. It's just the way it has been. So people try and reduce their fat. I do not know why we haven't been programmed to understand the importance of including protein and getting in the right amount of protein daily. Instead, too much fat will lead to high cholesterol. Too much fat will make us fat. I think education is key here. We need to re-educate ourselves to understand how to consume our food and how to use our food better for our own health. Number 16 is addiction to spices and flavor. There's no Nigerian who will cook for you without adding spices or flavor to it. You will not see any Nigerian cook stew and just salt. They will cook you stew and add all the flavor, at least crayfish, the Maggi, and so. It's something we're used to. It is what makes our soup or stew. We need to flavorize it. We're very good. We literally pride ourselves in adding flavor. This is what makes the things like the egusi soup, the white soup, the ogbono soup. We flavor it. The asu, we're very good at flavoring our food. And you won't have all that when you're on a carnivore diet because it's basically salt and very little spices. Number 17 is texture preference. We generally boil our meats. We prefer our meats well done, chewy, and yes, where it needs to be soft. So eating steak, which is medium rare, which is common, especially if you're on a carnivore diet, may sound a bit, ooh, what is this? Number 18 is carb withdrawal. This will happen to anyone, whatever culture they're in, especially if they've been eating carb heavy anyway. So our food already is carb heavy, which is our rice, our eba, swallow. You definitely will miss that once you've stopped eating all the carbs and you're just mostly eating protein. But that improves over time. Number 19 is meat doesn't equal a meal. It's kind of odd to see you just eating meat as a main meal. It's normal to have a plate of rice or eba or gari, and then you have your meat added to it. So it might feel a bit unusual at the beginning, especially if you're within your community, but you'll get used to that. Just order asu, because that's a meal on its own. Number 20 is old habit die hard. You may miss what you normally eat as a child, like your eggs and yam. I kind of miss yam now because we cook it every Sunday. You may miss your pounded yam and egusi soup. So there are a lot of things you most likely may miss, but over time, you should feel better, especially once you see that your health is improving. So what have I learned? What I am learning is to honor both cultures, which is the Western way of being on a carnivore diet. And I try to combine it with my way of eating meat. So in the West, people will generally maybe will go for steak. They're very good at grilling steak. They're very good at grilling fresh meat. I still occasionally will boil and then grill if I need to, grill it or put it in the oven. So basically, I am just complementing both cultures so I can sustain. So this could be sustainable. So here's the bottom line. Yes, Nigeria is meat heavy. That does not automatically make carnivore easy. There are cultural habits, practical challenges, health fears, and food traditions that make it hard. But if you understand those challenges up front, you can find your own balance, whether it's mixing traditional meats and Western cooking style, experimenting with doneness, or slowly letting go of carb. You can create a version of carnivore diet that actually works for you. Remember, carnivore is not a one-size-fits-all. It's about finding the path that lets you stay consistent and satisfied. Thank you so much for watching. If this video has given you a haha moment at any point, please give it a like and subscribe. Have a lovely day and God bless you. Bye-bye.